I'm Louisa Porritt from Investment Europe, and I'm here on day one of the ALFI Spring Conference. As you can see, it's filling up already, and the focus of the day is expected to be on regulatory issues, particularly UCITS and AIFMD. I will be catching some of the speakers and the attendees from the conference to ask them their views on what happens throughout the day. With me right now is one of the speakers, Guillaume Prache, from the European Federation of Investors. Guillaume, what do you think were the key investor protection issues that were raised earlier?
First, if you allow me, I'd like to say two words on who we are. So as you said, we are the European Federation of Investors, which is a federation of about 45 national member organizations throughout Europe, of investor organizations, and that means in turn it's about 2 million EU citizens that we represent, and we try to defend their interests in the European policy level. So our key investor protection issues right now are linked with the new EU regulations. One is MiFID, the Markets in Financial Instrument Directive, and which has quite important investor protection features. Unfortunately, we believe they are not sufficiently enforced, like on information having to be accurate, clear, and not misleading. We think this should really be enforced and not only talked about. Same thing for the disclosure of conflicts of interest at the distribution level, the so-called endorsements. And also the use of the advice word, which is quite misleading for people when in fact it's not an advisor that you have in front of you, but a salesperson. So that's with MiFID. There is also another big issue with a so-called PRIPS project, Package Retail Investment Products. As I said, MiFID has nice, interesting investor protection features. Unfortunately, it applies to only a fifth of the retail investment products. A lot of retail investment products are out of the scope of MiFID. And so the initial intention of the European authorities was to put everyone on the same level playing field and to have an harmonized protection level for all retail investment products. Unfortunately, and that's what this PRIPS project is about. Unfortunately, its scope is narrowing ever and ever, and now we are not even sure all life insurance products will be in the scope, and we are unfortunately now quite sure that all the personal pension products will be out of scope, whereas pension products are the most important and the most crucial for EU citizens. And lastly, I would say one other big issue we have is with the reform of the financial supervision at EU level. There were new financial authorities created earlier this year. It's very new, but that comes from the 2008 financial crisis. They set up 3 new financial authorities for Europe in the financial sector, so one for banking, one for insurance and pensions, and one for securities markets. And what we see is first a very traditional approach where these supervisors are mixing objectives to look after the solvency of providers and at the same time to look, if possible, at protecting customers. We know these are sometimes conflicting objectives, and for example, the UK or the US have taken a much better approach, which is to have 2 different supervisors, one looking after the solvency of providers, financial providers, and one looking at the customer protection. And the other issue we have is with this new financial supervision is that we want to have the European Parliament wanted to have a balanced representation of interests, providers on one side, users on the other side. And now we see the new stakeholder groups, as they call them, consultative panels, if you wish, of these new authorities. The one for pensions and insurance just came out last week. And what we see is for example, out of the 30-member pension stakeholder groups, there are only 2 representatives of the end users, which means you and me, and the 500 million other people of Europe. And at least, from what we could guess, at least 16 people from the financial industry. So where is the balance?
So do you think that it's essentially retail investors that aren't being properly catered for by the new regulation?
retail investors, savers, life insurance holders, pension fund participants. Yes, the people, I think it was recognized with the financial crisis that there was an unbalanced influence between the financial services industry on the one side and the financial services users as a whole on the other side. There's been a lot of nice talk about it. In the regulation, new regulation on financial supervision, it says these people should be represented in balanced proportions. That's in the law, in the European law. But when we see the facts, we are not happy.
So what do you think can be done to resolve this?
First, we're going to complain. Talk about it to journalists. That's what we are doing right now, right? And we'll see. But maybe we'll have to bring it a step further. We'll see. I hope they listen to us.
Okay, well, good luck with that, and thank you for talking to us. And with me now to discuss liquidity changes in financial markets is Dennis Ullert from RC Bank and Software. Dennis, what kind of risks are there to liquidity in financial markets today?
Well, as we used to develop our solution, we thought of redemption risks like net cash outflows in funds. So that's the one side, and the other side might be the risk to liquidate those assets I have in the fund on the other side. So we think we have to model both sides, and then we have to combine them in risk figures for mutual and institutional funds. Or also you can extend their solution to hedge funds or something like that.
And how have things changed for institutional funds in particular recently?
Well, everybody thinks the liquidity is good and nothing can happen, but then in 2008, in September, suddenly in 2 weeks, the liquidity was a high risk, and there were many problems in those funds, so they had to do something. Now, meanwhile, the BaFin or something like that, I don't know how to say in English, Aufsichtsbehörden. The regulatory, they also want the KAGs to monitor their risks, and they think that it's a real risk and nothing that always is good. So they have to look careful on liquidity in their funds. So.
And what do you think are the chances of the events of September 2008 happening again? Do you see similar risks at the moment?
Well, I think something like that can always happen again. It's just a matter of probability. I'm a mathematic, and I say probability is always there. It's bigger than zero. So it might happen again, but we don't know when, and we don't know how strong it will be the next time. So the crisis, there have always been crises, and there will always be crisis in future. And so you have to prepare.
So we're quite far into day 2 of the ALFI Spring Conference now, and with me to discuss how it's gone so far is the Director General of ALFI, Camille Thomas. Camille, how have you found the conference?
I think I'm quite satisfied because we had a nice turnout of over 800 attendees this year, so it's a record number. And the initial feedback I got from the attendees is that they were quite positive. I think we had a specific focus this year is better regulation, clearer information, more protection. Obviously, we also touched upon the big regulatory developments like FATCA, UCITS IV, UCITS V, but definitely the focus was on the investor, listening to the investor. So we gave very detailed information on the key II, the key investor information document. We had the opportunity also to present our initiatives in terms of investor information. We've updated our website with clear information to help the investors to be more knowledgeable about investment funds.
And what is this new development on your website? What's it offering?
Yes, we have had initially last year we launched the website with an English version. We now, due to our cross-border nature of our business, we translated into French and German. In addition to that, we presented a number of fact sheets of countries where our investors are based, so information about the regulator, the local regulator, the regulatory framework, to which institution the investor might address a complaint, some cross-links to local website giving information, financial education and financial information for the benefit of investors.
So is that information for investors across Europe then?
Yes, we try to expand obviously the fact sheets when we've now produced fact sheets for 9 or 10 countries, but the aim is also to include information on all the countries where our members distribute their funds.
And is there anything that's come out of today's conference that ALFI will be looking to take up in future? Any particular issues that have been raised?
I mean, it's clear that we keep very focused on the regulatory initiative and developments. There's so much going on, so much consultation, notably the PRIP consultation, where the asset manager industry is keen to see progress made so that we achieve a level playing field between investment funds and other competing products. There's FATCA, the US legislation, which certainly is of big concern to our industry, so we're looking definitely forward what new regulation in that respect will be published in the months to come.
And now that Investment Europe has come to Luxembourg, is ALFI looking to come to London anytime soon?
Definitely. I mean, we are continuing our roadshows and product seminars. We will be in London on the 19th of May, so I'm pleased for everyone who could join us. It's normally quite a big event. It's free of charge, and we've succeeded so far every year to attract more than 400 participants. So that's the purpose of those seminars, is to keep our clients, the service providers, the asset managers informed about the latest development taking place in Luxembourg, both on UCITS but also on alternative investments.
Okay. And can I ask your thoughts finally on the new magazine?
Well, I've just discovered the magazine. I found it very well done. It has quite interesting articles with very prominent persons being interviewed or having written article. I think it's certainly adds value to the information for the investment fund industry players. So I'm looking forward to the next edition.
Camille, thank you for talking to Investment Europe, and we look forward to seeing you again in London.
Thank you.